Hey my friends, welcome back to the channel. I am pleased to talk to you guys about what is probably my favorite action RPG of all time. Something that I have revisited on multiple occasions. I have the platinum on PlayStation 3. I have almost every achievement on the Dark Arisen version on Steam. And as you've guessed by the title of the video, that is Dragon's Dogma and Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen for that matter. Dragon's Dogma came out in 2012, and that seems like a lifetime ago. And this game was basically Capcom doing an experiment, and it really worked. And I say it was an experiment because Hideaki Itsuno, who worked on this game, was previously known for making things like Devil May Cry. And that is a big jump of the type of game that is from Devil May Cry to Dragon's Dogma. For one is a linear action title, the other is an open world RPG. And usually that transition doesn't really work with some directors, and that's no slight to any that you can think of, but usually they like to stay in their lane and they have a thing that they're good at. But Hideaki and his team just said, nah, we want to try something different. And Dragon's Dogma was thus born. When I first seen the trailer for this game, it blew my mind in 2012. Actually, even 2011, I think, is when the trailer released. I saw combat that was very Devil May Cry alike, but with some, climbing mechanics that reminded me of Shadow of the Colossus, where you could just jump up and grab hold of whatever enemy that you wanted to bring down and just start beating the hell out of them from there. And coming hot off the heels of the magnificent release of Elder Scrolls Skyrim that basically shook the entire gaming audience, this game landed itself in a nice little pocket where it had all of these things coming together to form a very unique experience. And honestly, it's an experience that is not without its faults, or even what I would just consider its friction, because these games are not meant to hold your hand. They are hard. And I say they because Dragon's Dogma 2 continue the tradition of having a lot of friction in the gameplay that can frustrate some people, but when you overcome it, the sense of that classic pride and accomplishment line really kicks in. But with Dragon's Dogma 1, I feel like the balance was perfect. This game had the perfect balance of exploration, combat, spectacle, and discovery. There are even things in the game that I didn't realize were a thing until years later. That's how many little things are kind of hidden within this game. And you might notice that I didn't bring up the story much. Well, that's because this is one of those RPGs that has a ton of cool lore, but the story is almost non-existent. But it does just enough to get you going along and get you intrigued enough to have you feeling like you want to know what's just around the next corner or the next story beat. And while the original release isn't really played much to this day, with the release of Dark Arisen, which really became the standard version of the game and it was all better for it, the original still held a special place in my heart. All of the stuff from the original game is some of my favorite parts of Dragon's Dogma, even though some of its added features in the Dark Arisen expansion really added a lot of flavor, replayability, and even new bosses and a whole slew of things that made the game all that much better. At the start of Dragon's Dogma, you have your heart stolen by a giant red dragon who, on a side note, to me, is like the pinnacle of what a dragon should really look like and feel like when coming up against one in a game. It feels big, it feels terrifying, and an overwhelming force to be reckoned with, much like how the underrated movie Reign of Fire also depicted its dragons. But after your heart is stolen, you become what's called an Arisen, basically a guardian angel of sorts that is going through the world and this story trying to stop the destruction of your world. And as that is a simple premise, the lore involved in the Arisen, especially with the reveal at the end of the game, goes much, much deeper. And while I won't spoil it, the revelations that happen when you start a new game plus, mind you, and you beat it again, one of the reveals at the end of this game is one of my core memories as a gamer. And that is no joke. I have never been so floored and so in awe of a what kind of moment than at the very end of this game. And that being because if you do know the end of this game and what happens after you beat New Game Plus, you know what I'm talking about. I played this game years after and had that revelation of what happens when you do New Game Plus. It was one of those moments that stuck with me forever and really cemented it as one of my favorite games. I love this game so much, no matter what I've played it on, whatever version. But when it comes to the actual playing of this game, the actual combat, the exploration, and all the things in it, it is super satisfying to play. And in a lot of regards, it's pretty much exactly what you want out of an action RPG. Interchangeable abilities, level ups, stats, tons of different gear sets to find, lots of different weapons that you can mix with different classes, and there are a lot of different classes and weapons to mix in with each other, and even mixing the abilities from each as you earn and purchase them. They all culminate in you having a pretty darn customizable experience that really rewards you for experimenting with different classes and abilities. This game also has my personal favorite magic in any game. The magic spells in Dragon's Dogma are how I imagine spells should be. Like when you conjure ice to attack something, it shoots out from your mage in this really long ice shaft that goes all the way toward your enemy. When you have a lightning storm, it really takes over the whole area. And even when you are one of the more unique classes in this game, the magic archer, you have runes to put on the ground that can pop enemies into the air. Your bow has little homing arrows that you can home in on enemies with. It's just so customizable when it comes to you, the player. And that's before even touching on the pawn system. The pawn system was truly revolutionary when this game came out. At the start of the game, you will customize and make your own pawn, who is basically your servant and will follow you to the ends of the earth. And in lore, they aren't quite people, but they are here to help you just like any person would, with the exception that, they just take orders. And each player of this game is interconnected with each other by their pawns, as you can take other people's pawns from these places called rifts that are recorded on a server, and you can go in and look at other players' pawns or even pawns that are made from the developers themselves, bring them into your team to have up to 3 to go with you, giving you a lot of freedom in customizing your own party. And you can also change how your personal pawn acts and fights with you, including how they approach combat, whether they're more subdued and want to heal or just act defensively, or if you want them to just be all out attack, or if you just want, 2 of them doing healing or even attack and just have one support. It's pretty much endless how you can lay out your party in this game. And borrowing pawns from your buddies will never not be a good time. As with any pawn, you can leave them with a gift and a rating to almost act as a kind of trade system, which is more of a reward system, but you can gift people just about anything when you give their pawns back. And when they get to their master, they will have more things to say, more hints and things, or when you're exploring the world. They'll even mention that they have been here with their master or with a fellow traveler that they've traveled with, being you, whenever your friend or whoever takes their pawn out to a new area. It's truly awesome. I love the pawn system, and it's one of the most unique parts of the game. And when it comes to taking these pawns all over this world and learning new things, a sense of exploration is always great, because the enemy variety that you can find while scouring the entire world, which it's not the biggest world ever, but it has a lot packed into it. You can find so much in every tiny little corner, and sometimes the most unexpected places. You'll find brand new bosses, crazy gear upgrades that will just take you levels beyond what you are now. And discovery of a new enemy in this game always feels so rewarding because you always have to figure out just what makes them tick. What is the thing that helps bring this thing down the most? For example, with Cyclops, they're quite easy, especially later in the game. But when you first come up to them, you say, oh, this thing has no problem tossing me around. It has no problem, just barreling through my party. What should I do? Well, you might shoot it in the eye to blind it for a second, climb up on its back, swing away at its head to bust off some tusks before bringing it down completely for some extra loot. The same goes for things at nighttime, which nighttime is the most dangerous time to go out and about, as you'll run into very unique enemies and more enemies. You'll find zombies popping out of the ground. You'll find phantasms and even Doulahan like enemies that'll come after you that you'll need certain things to even damage at all. And a lot of the quests in the game leverage this kind of discovery and nudge you in certain directions in order to kind of not really put you toward these areas, but kind of nudge you in the right direction of them for a lot of the quests. And nothing in this game is ever really given to you. There is a lot of friction, like I said. And one of the things that I would chalk up to being a negative is that there are no mounts in this game. That is kind of a 50-50 though, as running around on foot and just having the journey be what takes you along is part of the draw here, but at the same time, you will be burning through stamina and just running and seeing your character exhausted more than a fair share of times. But if you are okay with just going with the flow, adventuring out, just running out and seeing what you can find, this is the game for you, especially if you just love discovering new enemies. Then beyond the story, you have the Dark Arisen expansion, which brought a new place called the Bitter Black Isle. Bitter Black Isle is almost built like a roguelike. You'll go so far in this place until you don't feel you can go any further, or you just straight up die. You can be reborn at the entrance, or load your save like any good old RPG, even though there is only one save slot per game, which does have a reason, but it also can be a detriment. But starting at Bitter Black Isle over and over, you will get more abilities, more level ups, you get random gear, you have this, like I said, roguelike progression that just keeps having you feel like you want to just do one more run, go into Bitter Black, because there's so many secrets. This place is basically built like a maze, a giant Rubik's Cube that you need to just make your way through and figure out all of its little secrets, because there'll be something really freaking cool when you do find something. In this place, this is where they brought the Grim Reaper. This is where they brought some of the bigger, badder, and intimidating enemies in the game. And I almost can't imagine Dragon's Dogma without it. Even though I do like the core game as much as I do, Bitter Black Isle and the Dark Arisen expansion really did a lot for this game and made an already fantastic package that much better. If it wasn't already obvious, I recommend this game to just about anyone. Even if you're not an action RPG fan, which how can you not be? I mean, come on. Play this game. Give it a shot. And even if you don't mesh with it, I do feel like you will have a appreciation to why so many people have really stuck with this game and why it has the staying power that it does, why it even got a sequel, and why so many people like myself hold it in such high regard. But for this video, that's all of my gushing. Thank you for coming by and listening to it. I so enjoyed talking about this. I've been waiting to talk about it for so long. If you are at all curious or even need help through this game, I have actually made one of the only 100% walkthroughs I've ever made on my entire YouTube channel. But if you have played and beaten this, what did you like the most about it? Did it stick with you like it stuck with me? Do you have as many fond memories as I do of it? Comment below and start a conversation. I so enjoy the conversations about my favorite games with just about anybody. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to see more from me. If you really enjoyed it, give this video a like so it can get out to more folks. I would love for people to also gush over this with me. If for some reason you didn't enjoy it, go ahead and give me a downvote. That is a-okay. I still have a lot of room to grow. But until next time, it's been Havoc Fanatic. Peace.